Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Klimo. I am a very proud board member of the OC Forum. I have the privilege of serving on the executive committee. I'm a past president, and really it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all here this afternoon. The OC Forum is the premier nonpartisan public affairs organization covering Orange County's community in an interactive environment to foster relationships, exchange ideas, and discuss public policy issues with the most knowledgeable and distinguished speakers and leaders of our time. Our programs, both in person and virtual, have made the OC Forum the go-to place, which fosters a diversity among its presenters, membership, and audience. Speakers know they will reach a diverse and engaged audience, that means you, and the audience knows it will hear speakers that are knowledgeable and relevant leaders in their field on leading issues. OC Forum is the catalyst to elevate public discussion, encourage collaboration, and inspire community and stakeholders to address the complex issues of our day. I would like to take this moment to thank all of you for being here today and for your continued support of the forum. Your engagement and dedication are what make these impactful conversations so meaningful and successful. You will see a few items on your table to help you engage with the forum. We have a QR code available for you to scan and take a quick survey. Your participation in this survey will help us continue to bring you exciting events. Additionally, there are some comment cards on your table. Staff will be collecting the cards so we can present your questions directly to our speakers. Please note, all of our OC Forum events are recorded and made available on YouTube, so those who were unable to attend may still hear the valuable knowledge and ideas discussed today. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to recognize my colleagues on the OC Forum Board of Directors who helped make today's program possible. These dedicated individuals generously give their time, expertise, and passion to support our mission. Would all board members please stand so we may acknowledge you? Come on. Thank you very much. I know we have a few past board members with us today, so thank you for continuing to support the forum. And as always, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and express our gratitude to our partners who make this event possible. A special thank you to all of our ongoing OC Forum sponsors. Your generosity and commitment are what make programs like today possible. Of course, a very special thank you to UCI and UCI Health. Is that on? We're amazing. All right, yes. Required for my employment. UCI is our title sponsor for the 5th consecutive year. Additionally, I'd like to recognize our partnership with the Greater Irvine Chamber, without whom, yes, applause. Excellent. Also been a proud board member for that organization. But we're proud of our partnership with the Greater Irvine Chamber. Without them, this event would not have been possible. We thank them for their sponsorship. And before we begin our program, and in giving you time to dig into the lovely salad, I'd like to draw your attention to the screen for more information about the Greater Irvine Chamber.
Irvine has always been different by design. As a master planned city, it was built with the long game in mind to support innovation, growth, and a strong sense of community. Today, that vision is a reality. Irvine is home to entrepreneurs, family companies, industry leaders, emerging technologies, and a diverse business community that's shaping what comes next.
Irvine has always been a city built on innovation. As we celebrate our 54th anniversary, our city's vision remains clear. We're committed to making Irvine the safest, smartest, greenest, healthiest, and kindest city in America.
It all starts something with as simple as the food that we eat and as deeply powerful as tradition. Northgate Market's journey reflects what makes this city so special. Deep roots, a commitment to community, and a forward-looking approach to business.
We're incredibly grateful to the City of Irvine for being so supportive and welcoming. This Central Kitchen is more than just a facility. It's the heart of work. It's where we make our handmade tamales from scratch every day and bring our authentic Mexican flavors to our stores.
Companies choose to build here because the city offers more than just infrastructure. It offers a fertile ground for creativity and inspiration to connect.
Why Irvine? Because it offers a vibrant business community. We have world-class colleges and universities. We have a well-rounded mixture of startups, small, medium, and large businesses. There's excellent support organizations like the Greater Irvine Chamber of Commerce. Irvine and Orange County continue to be a hub for the aerospace and defense industry.
Irvine is a great place for innovation in our industry because we have a collection of elements here: academia, community organizations, business groups, and community leaders that are all committed to seeing innovation be an integral part of the community.
What makes Irvine a great place to be is the ecosystem and the community of many medical device companies that call Irvine their headquarters. At Vibrato Medical, we are developing novel, next-generation, non-invasive technology to help vascular patients.
This is a city that does not just accommodate innovation, it accelerates it. Businesses feel that sense of support in partnerships, policies, and in the people here.
Orange County isn't just a medtech hub of the United States, it's a medtech hub of the world. With 250 companies in Orange County alone, Irvine is the beating heart of that industry, with 10 of the largest strategics helping to support this growth.
Supernal is helping shape the future through technology and sustainability by developing a clean aircraft. Our vehicle is all electric. It'll be powered mostly through renewable sources when available. The goal is to have a zero-emission vehicle that can move people across urban landscapes.
Companies here don't want to operate in isolation. They push each other forward.
Our city government is organized to partner with various aspects of our community, and certainly to partner with the leaders in the business community.
And then there's a consumer base that has a high adoption quotient for technology.
Companies like Orange Tree are posed to take advantage of this growth by helping support innovation in the medtech industry within 5 years, which would be a $60 billion.
Irvine is leading across some of the most important sectors in the world. As we move forward, one thing is clear. Irvine will not just be part of the future, it's going to help define it.
The future of the aerospace industry continues to be very bright, not only with respect to production demand for conventional aircraft, but also state-of-the-art innovation.
When we get into production with this vehicle, it'll produce more units than the entirety of the aerospace community combined for passenger travel. It'll change the way people move.
So what makes Orange County and Irvine specifically a great place for medical technology is the innovation ecosystem that exists.
At the Greater Irvine Chamber, we're proud to support this amazing ecosystem of progress. We celebrate the people, the partnerships, and the industries that make Irvine not only a great place to do business, but a city that sets the pace for what is possible. This is Irvine, and this is what's next.
Okay, and this is what's next. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for our panel discussion this afternoon. It's Taryn Palumbo with the Orange County Grantmakers. Yay, yes, yay! We can share that. Absolutely. Taryn, as Executive Director of Orange County Grantmakers, has been providing strategic leadership to a regional association of philanthropic funders advancing equity and impact. Since joining in 2017 and becoming executive director in 2018, she has overseen programming, communications, member services, and engagement while strengthening its role in Orange County's nonprofit ecosystem. The rest of her bio is there on the table, along with our speakers. I will just say personally, I've known Taryn for years and years. We go way back to the Orange County Business Council. She is quite an influencer and an influential person in Orange County's nonprofit community, and we're thrilled that you will be leading this event this afternoon. And with that, I turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can I just say, it is so amazing to look out at this crowd and see so many friends and colleagues from the nonprofit space. So thank you all. We heard from the OC Forum. There were so many new registrations today from people we don't always get to welcome to our events. So thank you so much for coming. And I'll just say, I know that it's because of the amazing panel of women we have speaking today. They are superstars, rock stars of the nonprofit space. And when we started thinking about this conversation about who we should bring up, I thought, who else would I want but my friends in arms in this space? So with that, I am so excited to welcome our panel. First up, I will call Claudia Keller with Second Harvest Food Bank. Claudia is an amazing partner in so many things, and I'm excited to serve on the steering committee with her for OC Hunger Alliance and so many others. Thank you. Next, Bonnie Pamouche with Working Wardrobes. Bonnie and I served in Fieldstone's executive leadership training together, which is where I got to know this amazing woman. Next is Jennifer Friend. Welcome, welcome. And Jennifer was one of our recipients of OCG's Summit Awards last year, 2 years ago, and is just an incredible leader in the community. And finally, last but not least, Madeline, her niece. Welcome. Maddie and I have known each other for a while, and we also have kids the same age. And the reason why I'm giving all these little tidbits is because I think the thing that most exemplifies this panel today is that we know each other, we like each other, and our partnerships extend beyond professional to personal relationships, which is what makes this group so powerful. So with that, we can all take our seats, and we will start our conversation. I thought that because there is so much conversation right now about the nonprofit space and the challenges, that we would start off with a more positive and light note, which is, and I already gave them a hint that this was coming. So for each person, they're going to introduce themselves, and they're going to share what their current organization's theme song is for this moment and how they know the person next to them. Claudia, you go first.
No pressure. So the food bank, for any of you that are, and I'm Claudia Keller. We have to introduce ourselves. Yes, I'm Claudia Keller, and I lead Second Harvest Food Bank of Orange County. I do want to call out that I have two illustrious former board chairs in the room, so I do want to call out Dave Cafaro and Kate Klimow. So thank you. Thank you. For those of you that know the food bank, you know that we evolve and we change and we innovate for the times, and we have done so many times over since COVID. We pivot and pivot. We could be ballerinas. But I have two theme songs. The first one is Changes by David Bowie, because we change. And the second one is a 90s banger from Montel Jordan called This Is How We Do It, because that's how we're doing it today. And I know this woman, oh man, the story, but she and I became CEOs at roughly the same time. And I had always admired the organization, and I reached out to her and I said, hey, could I come and tour your facility? And she very generously hosted me for a tour, which led to a happy hour, which led to a lot of other things. So I'm very proud to call her a colleague and a friend and a confidant.
What a beautiful introduction, Claudia. I was expecting you to tell the story about me jumping over the front desk in a skirt.
I don't give away our secrets. Apparently you do.
I do. I'm Bonnie Pomish. It is truly my honor to serve our community as CEO at Working Wardrobes. I think the most magical things happen not just in the walls, but in these walls, in the head space we all live in. And it is the mantra, the theme song, the outcome we're looking for as we work with people on their employment journeys to regain, sometimes gain for the first time, their confidence, to gather soft skills that they can take into the marketplace anywhere. And then the finishing touch is to make sure they're ready for that interview, that they can look how they are updated on the inside. And so the song for that is, I'm walking on sunshine. We are absolutely creating optimists, future leaders, and people who are giving their unique gifts, their personal skills in the marketplace. And I know the amazing Jennifer Friend through this incredible strength Orange County has, which is in the leaders of its businesses. And Jennifer, you came with a bigger reputation than you are. When I came on the scene, I asked a lot of people, who are the really, really good CEOs in town? And these ladies were on that list multiple times. That's how I got to know you.
You're so sweet. And she actually brought us all together for this cadre that some of you may now know as the Sisters in Good. So it's kind of, being 55, having been a litigator previously in a very heavily male-dominated profession, I'm thoroughly enjoying every single second of not only my colleagues in leadership, but my colleagues like Dr. Feliciano Sabala that I have the privilege of working alongside every day at Project Hope Alliance. So my name is Jennifer Friend, and we have the distinct honor to walk alongside students experiencing homelessness through their educational and life journey all the way from kindergarten to age 24. And those of you that know me know that I am a pragmatic Pollyanna. So the theme song for Project Hope that I have is Anything Can Happen from Mary Poppins. My favorite part of that song, though, is that the lyric is anything can happen if you let it. And that is very critically important because we are often the largest obstacles that our community has to solving problems. And when I say we, I'm talking about us collectively, us in systems. I think about, we always kind of joke a little bit about how sometimes the for-profit sector and the social impact sector are put in two different buckets, as though somehow we're not all Orange County business leaders kind of really fighting the fight. And I think that I know that we have so much to teach one another. And so anything truly can happen for our kids experiencing homelessness, for our adults experiencing homelessness, just for our community and our world, if we together cumulatively let it. And I was trying to think when the first time is that I met Maddie. I feel like I've always had the privilege of knowing her. I would say that it probably started back at the Orange County United Way when we started ideating this whole idea of Orange County to end homelessness, what that would look like. And Maddie and I had the privilege of sitting at tables together, and I knew right away that she was someone that was in it for the center of her circle, and everything that she does is her kids and her families. And so that value alignment was something that I automatically trusted. And now they say that adversity isn't built, or character isn't built through adversity, it's revealed. And I have had the distinct privilege of watching every single woman up here reveal their character in really powerful ways. So I'm grateful to know all of them.
Yes, send that back down. Hi, everyone. So my name is Madeline, or Maddie, her niece. Some of you may know me as that. And I have the opportunity of serving as Chief Executive Officer at Families Forward. At Families Forward, we are truly committed to an Orange County where every family has a home and the opportunity to thrive. And we do that by providing housing and resources that promote lasting stability. Similar to Jen's work, our mission is for the children, but we know we have to work with the big ones to get to the little ones and to really break that generational cycle of housing instability and poverty. And I will share with you, this was the hardest question for me to answer. And my friend Nishta can attest, I was overanalyzing the lyrics to every song that popped into my head. Like, is that inappropriate? And then I realized after a very fun-fueled karaoke session on a drive back from meeting with Supervisor Chafee, and where I may have flexed and shown my rapping skills to Nishta, that our song is Don't Stop Believing by Journey. And I really think it is, yes, we should start a whole chorus, but we cannot stop believing that our work is just as important and is a critical part of this vibrant business community, and that we can really make a difference for families in need. And I'm gonna flip because do I go to you? Okay, so Taryn, we met, I don't remember the exact moment we met, but I know that she got me onto the OC Grantmakers Summit Committee, and that was in 2020 before the world went virtual, and so our first few rounds were virtual. And it was a great learning opportunity together. And then I'm honored that she also asked me to co-chair one of the committees, which was an incredible experience. But of course, that bonding and knowing that as moms that are working in this industry, that are trying to juggle kind of that work-life balance, really actually created more of that personal connection. We were actually pregnant at the same time. And she had her daughter early, so their birthdays are about a week apart. 2 weeks apart? Yeah, so we've been through it.
Thank you all. So as you can see, this group is amazing, which I'm sure you all already know, but I want to hone in as our first question, and I'm already going to go out of order, so sorry. Jennifer, you noted that you came from a litigation background, heavily male-dominated. I think sometimes there's a misconception that the nonprofit space is a softer industry. We do tend to have more female leaders, and yet all of the organizations, many of the organizations are multi-million-dollar businesses that serve integral safety net roles in our community. So I'd love to ask you, and Jennifer, you can start, as a CEO, how do you see your contribution, your collaboration, your approach benefiting this community in a way that is applicable to all industries, not just the nonprofit sector?
I really appreciate that question because I think that oftentimes we have a lot of rightful conversations about how the social impact sector can learn from the for-profit sector. And I think sometimes what we don't have are conversations about what the for-profit sector can learn from the social impact sector. And I say that because as an industry, we are driven, trained, and committed to operating at very high efficiency for a very great impact. And regardless of what industry you're leading in, that is ultimately going to be what your boards want you to be reporting on, whether it is on a in stock index or it's an annual report as a social impact organization. And so I see so many opportunities for us to together come around shared values, shared metrics, and shared impact desires, whether it be workforce readiness, whether it be a healthy, mentally and physically healthy community so that we can all live and thrive in the community. We have the same interests. So the more that we can align around common impact desires, the better we can get at being efficient and highly collaborative and impact driven. So I think sometimes we need to break down the false silos and barriers that come with whether or not we have to pay taxes, and instead look at the way our operational systems work and how we have learned to navigate. You want to talk about change management, have a cocktail with any nonprofit leader, and you'll see it's not very soft in this sector.
And if you can stop at one, you're lucky. Can I add to that? Because I think you've captured it perfectly. What I would add is, and these ladies have heard me say it, that yes, we are businesses, and yes, we have a bottom line. But very often, we remind each other that our bottom line are the people that we serve. And when I'm talking to Bonnie about workforce development, or Madeline and Jennifer about the struggles of folks that are unhoused, and I'm thinking about people that are experiencing food insecurity, we're very often talking about the same people. So the competition that exists in the private sector serves very little in the nonprofit sector because we're serving literally the same people. And we remember that every day. And what I value in these leaders and what I have learned from them is that we don't put our organizations are not the center of our gravity. It is not about the food bank. It is about people experiencing hunger, homelessness, that need workforce development, and on and on and on with the incredible missions that are served in this county. That, I think, is a valuable lesson that any sector can learn, is the purpose of your organization. Hard stop.
Claude, I could not agree more. I'm also not used to you calling me Madeline, so that took me
Sorry,
off.
Mad.
No, I would just love to add to this. Obviously, I want to just echo and ditto, but I do want to share a story of how very real that perception is. So I have 2 little ones, like I've shared, and you meet, friends along the way that have similar kids. And we met this particular friend in soccer, and we went to their birthday party, and I got to talking to Grandpa. And Grandpa was telling me how he's a volunteer, he's a docent at a couple of organizations, and he was frustrated because there were some challenges with scheduling. And he went to the CEO of this particular organization and shared his frustrations, that he didn't feel like things were changing quick enough. And then before I could say anything, he said, and by the way, I mean, they're a nonprofit CEO, how busy can they be?
Ooh.
And I looked at him, and the first thing that came to my mouth is, do you know what I do? And I think that perspective, that stereotype, is not an isolated stereotype. And when you think about managing multi-million-dollar organizations, housing hundreds of people, managing multi-million-dollar budgets, connecting with local leaders to enact policy change, like, none of that is soft. It takes real grit, and the stakes are higher. And to the point that was made, we do a hell of a lot more with a hell of a lot less.
Like, back over here in real life. In real life, we're all just doing the thing. Like, literally every single one of us, including the people we serve, including each of us, every single one of us is doing our best being human. And to put any sort of lesser than, or I'll just say condescension, about any other person's plight, experience, whether they're more worthy or not, is just bullshit.
Yay, someone finally, I'm going to tell you, I had a mental over-under because we actually are all very close and have lots of hilarious text change. Who was, like, which one of us was going to accidentally say a bad word first? So
I don't think that was an accident.
Hands down, that was going to be me on purpose.
I actually voted Claude on that one.
You did?
I did
Wow.
too. But
Okay,
Sorry to
Claudia, one more
disappoint.
thing. And then I do have to ask a second question at some point.
I will share an anecdote that I shared with some of these ladies. I recently inquired about joining a professional association in this county and was told that it was only for business leaders. Yes. Right away I got on the text chain with these guys, and, well, it was a hilarious text chain. But that misconception is real, and it is unwarranted.
that may have been the origin of my comment.
Thank you. I think these are such important points because I think there's so often there is a misconception about what this work looks like. But there are also some differences, which were noted, that does make the nonprofit sector unique. And so because you four are so collaborative, I'd love for you to share how that collaboration has grown and enabled your individual missions to move beyond sort of what is the language on the website to so much more and impactful in the community.
I have like a very real example that I think highlights the complementary nature that we are all really striving for. And as Claudia said, they're all our people, families, kids. Project Hope Alliance used to engage in rapid rehousing. We used to invest a substantial portion of our annual budget in paying to move families that we were walking alongside the kids through their educational journey to move out of motels and shelters and into apartments or permanent housing. Because at that time, and Maddie wasn't the CEO of Families Forward at that time, during that time, there was a huge white space and huge need for what's known as McKinney-Vento students experiencing homelessness. So those living in motels, those doubled and tripled up, those couch surfing. And so we felt that we needed to be in that space because we didn't see that we had a lot of partners that were in that space with that specific population. But what has gratefully changed and evolved over time is that Families Forward, for example, SPIN, and other nonprofits have stepped into that space, allowing us to step back from that space and instead invest our money, our resources in our white space where there is not anyone operating in that way, to be embedded on public school campuses, journeying alongside every single day with our county's youth experiencing homelessness. And that type of collaboration opens up opportunities for our Sisters in Good to get funding dollars that maybe we were getting for that type of housing. But it also opens up and expands opportunities for our kids to have greater services in the white space where they weren't having as many services. I mean, during COVID, I think it took 8 minutes for Second Harvest, Goodwill, and Project Hope Alliance to put together a food distribution that ended up serving 2,500 students experiencing homelessness in Santa Ana. 8 minutes. That's what happens when there's trust. When you trust someone and you know that they're coming at it from you don't even worry about the details. You just call, you share what the need is, you get stuff done. So
I think this is also like the backbone of community, isn't it? It's identifying what resources do we need, how do we solve the problem? And I think that this is how human species has done it forever, right? We're tribal, we are communal, we care deeply, knowing very much that our fellow humans' experience also impacts us and vice versa. It is symbiotic. I also think that the way that this county has we know we have an abundance of a lot of resources, but when I think about my favorite resource, it's the collaboration one. It's the openness. It's the, I don't know what you're doing, but let's see if we can play together in the sandbox and make a difference. It's incredible. At Working Wardrobes, we know that we are excellent at workforce development. We are not excellent at medical care, at housing, at food. We are excellent, though, at preparing people for the employment experience. And so it is dependent that we provide wraparound services in a collaborative way, which means, as we were talking before, this competition is absolutely, that is a barrier to success. Competition is a barrier. It is most fruitful when we identify, as you said, partners that we have relationships with, that we know we can get through it, we can get to the finish line together because we're each contributing our unique strengths. If there was like one invitation I would want to make to every single person in this room, it is just that, to please give. Give your strength, give what you uniquely have an abundance of to community in whatever way you deem appropriate.
I think there's also, and I want to call attention to the very high level of expertise, not only in these women that have the privilege of sitting here, but there's others of you. I'm looking at Judy Hudash and Lucy Santana that I know are here in the audience. There's an incredible amount of expertise in these leaders that I often call upon. Jennifer has expertise in education. Madeline is a partner, Mad is a partner of the food bank. She knows how to distribute food. We're a big warehouse. When I need to tap in on expertise that I trust, expertise that you can trust, I have a network literally at my fingertips. So I think that needs to be highlighted.
And I want to add to Jen's comment, because I think it's fun to see both sides of the coin, and where when trust is involved and we're not resource guarding, we actually find common threads. So we actually have a common funder. I know the dad really well. She knows the son really well. And we're like, why aren't we doing work together? I mean, Jen and her team, they see the kids every single day. We're seeing the family when they're finally coming to us, where mom, dad, grandparent, guardian is saying, I need help. How can we catch these families earlier and really focus on upstream? And actually, it was stimulus funding from the pandemic that really allowed for us to be innovative and pilot a program out of the school districts where organizations like Jen and our McKinney-Vento liaisons had an actual direct referral source. And then when that went away, it doesn't need to go away. How do we do it together? And we actually have a meeting coming up to talk about that. But it is that really creative, let's put our guard down. We're not resource guarding. Let's share best practices. When there is trust involved, we can foster innovation and we can have a better, deeper impact on all the families that we serve.
Thank you. I think really what is highlighted is that that's what makes Orange County unique. We have the opportunity to know one another in this community in a way that doesn't always exist in other spaces. That being said, I think we all are aware right now of some of the heightened challenges that are facing the nonprofit community, and I would be remiss if I did not address that with a panel of leadership talking about nonprofit. So, we know that cuts are coming. We know that the nonprofit sector is going to see increased need. We also know that the nonprofit industry is growing. The recent AFP report said that there were 9,000 nonprofits in Orange County. That is a lot of nonprofits. That is a lot of need in terms of funding to execute programs. So when we think about that idea of collaboration, how do you balance that with also finding your resources and identifying where to invest to keep the mission moving forward?
I would love to start this one off. So I also have the distinct pleasure of serving on the 10C board. And 10C, their mission is to be the accelerator for nonprofit success in Orange County. So they're a fiscal backbone, they're an educator, they're a convener, and I chair the Nonprofit Advisory Council. And it includes nonprofits from healthcare, arts, education, housing, food services, and not a single one of them feels like everything is going to be A-okay. There is a constant fear. There's a lot of unknown, and it does often feel like blind leading the blind. But I think this is a really pivotal moment for a lot of nonprofits in our spaces. We really have to look at, this is not about surviving, this is about how do we become stronger on the other side, and how do we do things differently and creatively. Beyond mergers and acquisitions, which I know is absolutely something we should be considering, but I'm talking about harnessing our purchasing power. What can we do collectively as nonprofits to reduce some of the supply cost in order to make sure that those critical dollars raised are going to the families that need it most? There's a lot we can do, and I truly do believe that this is the time for nonprofits to be able to, take that by the reins and really manage that narrative rather than being told later, you should have done this. And I think that proactive leadership is here. We need the space to foster that trust and innovation to make sure that we can propel that momentum forward.
I couldn't agree more. And I would also add to that while we are fortunate to live in a county that does feel very small despite its size, there is still so much that we don't know about one another, whether it's resource availability. I'll give an example. I was zodding over there when Kate talked about UCI, but I have the privilege of serving as a trustee at UCI, and one of the things that affords me are invitations to a lot of different types of forums and discussions about things that are being created, innovated, and put out into the community by the university. And I was at one of these forums, and we were talking about how there is a dearth of mental health services available to our teens, despite a tremendous rise in need for teen mental health services. And Shelby and I learned at that convening that there was this whole program at UCI that they were developing, but they needed youth to serve. And when you think about that, oftentimes it's back to the Mary Poppins thing. Anything can really happen if we let it. And I don't think that we're not letting it because we're trying to be obstructionist or we don't care about collaboration. It's literally sometimes the silos, whether artificial or not, create barriers to our systematic collaboration, where you're looking at things from a pipeline, right? So if I think about a youth born into homelessness, and all of the systems that they encounter until age 24, and who all of those players are, we better be figuring out how we partner with all of those players in an efficient and impactful way. And so there are more resources than we've even begun to tap into that already exist in Orange County, and so many more that in a collaborative fashion we can optimize and innovate together around, which is very exciting. And we saw that coming out of COVID. People kind of decided, did they want to collaborate or didn't they? And it became very apparent. I would say that my relationships with my colleagues have just become solid coming out of COVID and more expansive. And so I think this is an opportunity for us to reimagine that now in this moment. And as Maddie said, let's have some control as opposed to being reactionary.
Bonnie, Claudia?
Bonnie, what?
You or Claudia, whoever.
Yeah, you've said everything. I mean, really, there's nothing incomplete here. I do believe that there are too many nonprofits in Orange County and really in the world. And I think that that's because they don't have the thing that we're describing here, which is this connection, this desire to make a difference together, this understanding that I am enough and plentiful, and you are as well, that you having more does not take any from me. We can both have lots, all of that. I would say, though, that I think that when we are in these moments, they ask us to react. And as humans, our higher self wants to respond and to drive and to manifest, to create something out of, the lemonade out of the lemons. And I'm looking for lemonade, and I need some sugar. Do you have some sugar? Do you have some sugar? Do you have some sugar? Right? What I'm trying to say is that the resources are here, the solutions are here, but we can't keep doing things the same way. When the entire environment has shifted, and this happens in all business communities and all different kinds of pressure systems. So again, the invitation I would make to you would be, and what are you going to do about it? We, as a collective, like the largest collective, I'll just say in America, right? We are shifting course. We are experiencing change, and we are all in that place of, I don't want to change. What's happening right now? This is scary, and all the emotions that come with that. But what's coming next is that neutral place, right? That neutral place, and I think we've stepped our toes into it, where we are in that space of knowing that it's here. We can't change it. We can choose our response to it. And the question is now, how will we move forward and make it better, brighter, more bountiful for all? And I think that we have talked very thoroughly about the foundation that we have here to make that possible.
Not to add on to the sad theme, but in reiterating what my colleagues have said, this is a moment for nonprofits, a moment like no other. And many of us, since COVID, have reaped the rewards of the largesse of funding from the government, right? And we knew that the gravy train would eventually end. Many of us didn't anticipate how quickly. But regardless of that, this is a moment where many of us realize and are making plans to become self-sufficient and sustainable into the future. And that is not an easy thing for any nonprofit to do. I'm looking, some of my nonprofit people are kind of going like this in the audience. It is a tall order, but it must happen for this community. Many of us that have depended on government resources won't have those to go forward. So the nonprofit community will need the affluence and generosity of this community as you supported many of us through the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think that's important to note, that this is a really pivotal time for many nonprofits. On a positive note, and in that same spirit of sustainability, I will share a wonderful conversation that I had with Jennifer not too long ago when we started talking about the next generation of leaders, right? I know it's amazing, but I'm looking down the barrel at retirement. I know. And I'm thinking, who will succeed me? What is the succession? And who are the leaders? And many of them are in this room, and I'm looking at some of them right now at our table, that will step into our shoes. And I think as we talk about our folks that work in our organizations, our number twos, who will succeed us, I think it is incumbent on us as leaders to make sure that that transition and that sustainability happens as smoothly and as well as possible for the good of this county.
Thank you, and thank you for ending on a positive note. Love that. I want to go back to this idea of the collaboration and the change that needs to happen in the nonprofit space. We know there are strategies in place, But that does sometimes still kind of put the divider line between the nonprofits and the for-profits. So I'm wondering if you can share a little how the business community, how the for-profit can support this journey that the nonprofits are going on right now. We know, as a funder organization, we need money. We know that is always going to be a challenge, is always going to be an opportunity. But beyond that, how can the leaders in this room assist you on your journey forward as you redefine what your community looks like?
I have a specific thing that I've been ideating a lot around. I haven't landed on exactly what it should look like, but we know that we have a workforce issue that is coming ahead of us that is going to be incredibly stark in Orange County. And so we need to be ensuring that our youth that are currently, let's say, in high school and junior high right now, are being supported in a way that they can show up on the first day of work to be a productive employee, which means it may require them to be successful in trade school and even have a desire to go to trade school, understand what types of trades. Think about the construction industry. I mean, the fires in Los Angeles have put a profound strain on what was already an incredibly strained sector. We keep having conversations about having insufficient housing inventory, but we don't have people to build the houses at a proper rate. When corporations are starting to think about their outreach strategies to future employees, they really should be talking to folks like all of us sitting up here. Because I can tell you that Edwards Life Sciences did this ROI study on the fiscal impact to Orange County for every youth experiencing homelessness that Project Hope Alliance assists in graduating high school. It's annually $75,000 a year being added to Orange County's economy. That's because you're 400% less likely to experience homelessness as an adult if you have a high school degree, and your probability of being fully and gainfully employed at a living wage is dramatically higher. So the workforce wants our kids, wants Maddie's parents, and the kids that we're working together to make sure that they have stable housing. Let's talk together about how it is. Lucy's young ladies who are learning to be future entrepreneurs, right? You want the youth that we are walking alongside to support today to be your star employee tomorrow. So let's start having multi-sector conversations about how we invest in recruitment, engagement, and support of the next generation of workforce.
I'm in.
I will add to the businesses in this room, and as I look around, so many of you support the food bank's work. I would ask that you look at the nonprofit sector and the nonprofits that you partner with differently. Don't give us your leftovers. Invest in us. Don't think of us as an afterthought. Partner with us. We have things that your current employees want. They want purpose. They want to do and find meaning in the work that they do for you by who you associate with. And if you talk to any nonprofit here, we can offer opportunities for your employees to become deeply and meaningfully involved in this community, whether it's learning more about these issues, whether it's coming to volunteer, whether it's bringing their children to work on a farm. Shameless plug for our farm. There are plenty of opportunities for deep and meaningful partnership that is not in the spirit, again, of charity, but an investment, because we add value to this community.
To underline that, I really want to reframe, right? The term nonprofit, I actually learned this from my friends at Bank of America about 9 years ago, that let's reimagine the word nonprofit, and I want you to think of all of our businesses as a for-purpose. We're for-purpose entities We're doing impact work where, to Claudia's point, the bottom line isn't the profit, it's the people. But I would expect that you would expect that we have the ability and the infrastructure to run our organizations as effectively, as efficiently, and as strongly as any dollar that you would invest as far as like an entrepreneurial investment. The ROI is huge, but we can't do the work without your support, without that supportive infrastructure and making sure that every organization has that sustainability path. And that really takes creative and open-ended funders. It doesn't, I know the heart is wonderful and the mission is incredible, but without the infrastructure, we cannot exist. So I just wanted to put that reframe plug in. Nonprofit, no, for purpose.
Don't define us by what we're not, define us by what we are.
I love your invitation to Claudia to walk with me, right? Walk together. I think from Working Wardrobe's perspective, we feel completely enmeshed, entangled, like interwoven with our partners because we are creating literally employees that are ready to hire. We are creating opportunities for employees to build their team together, but certainly to walk their values, not just in the office, but out there in the world. We create these opportunities also for you to meet each other. We've talked so much about how these relationships have been life-changing and life-helping, not just for us, the people that we ultimately are helping. Those network opportunities and the opportunity to be in a community that has already been filtered for you. The filter is on. It is, these people in this room care about something I care about too. They're all future friends. And finally, I would say, and this is going back to we each have unique gifts, right? Maybe your unique gift is that you do this awesome sales training and you teach, you orient all the new sales team at your company. Or maybe your unique thing is that you love to gather and collect and you can, be the Pied Piper and get, 20 kids to make toiletry packets. I don't know what the thing is that you're passionate about, that you have an abundance of. But I really can't say this strongly enough. It might be your beautiful, gently loved clothes. It might be your extra Post-it notepads. It might be all of the food that you thought you were going to be eating for that meal and it's brand new and fresh and perishable and ready to give. Whatever it is, know that what you have to give and what you actually choose to give, you will get back tenfold. The act, I know you know this, I'm just holding up the mirror, that when you engage in that action, when you exchange that energy, when you put that decision into motion that I'm gonna make the world just a little bit better today, just that much, and you do it, you follow through with the thought, it actually does have a huge ripple effect, not just on the outcomes, right, but also for you. And then you take that with you on the freeway and to the grocery store and to all the bridges you're building with all the humans in this collective experience. And guess what else is happening? All of us, every single one of us, is stronger as a result.
I love that. Thank you so much. So, building on that, let's imagine every single person in this room leaves here so inspired by your words and goes, okay, I'm gonna do this much, I'm gonna give back. And it creates a crescendo effect. In 5 years, what do you imagine? We have a healthy business, we have a thriving nonprofit sector. Our community, because of those investments, is more resilient. What could our community look like in 5 years?
I think we're solving real problems in real time. So if I were an employer today having difficulty understanding why I can't get employees in my door, I would call Bonnie and say, what are the folks that you're walking alongside's greatest barriers to getting employment today? Maddie and I are upstream, so our answers are going to be different. Bonnie could probably tell you 20 things that would never have been on your radar just because that's not the lens through which you're looking at employee recruitment and employee engagement. But because Bonnie's doing this work every day, solving those problems in real time today, she could probably make it easy for you to make recruitment adjustments, make workplace hours, those types of things, maybe modify them a little bit differently so that you can be successful. But if we are truly working synergistically across systems, we will solve real problems in real time, which would be real rad.
I'll share my dream with all of you, and it's the weirdest dream, I think, for a CEO. But I want to put myself out of business. I would like nothing better. I would like nothing better than to have to hit one of you up in the for-profit sector and say, we don't need a food bank anymore, so I don't have a job. I pray that in my lifetime that becomes a reality in the hunger relief sector. So that's what I hope would happen if everything works perfectly.
Doesn't work for your succession plan, though, Claude. I'm teasing. You know, I don't know. Right now, the last 5 years were so big and full. I'm thinking in the next 5, I don't know if I can take the ride, but I know we're going for it.
Put your lap bar down.
Yes, totally. Seatbelts, harnesses are going. You know, if all of this is happening, then what I envision is that literally each and every one of us is fulfilling our individual purpose, because that means that we all are able to fulfill our purpose. That means we're all able to give the gifts that are uniquely ours to give in the marketplace. That's what would be happening.
For me, I think to start off, resilience is not built in isolation. Not for our organizations, not for the families that we serve. And while I would love to say that we will be out of a job in 5 years, I know that the vast disparity between housing and income will not close in the next 5 years. So there will be a need for food. There will be a need for housing. There will be a need for resources and workforce development. I hope we can narrow that gap. I hope we can wrap our hands around that and really as a community commit to when that community succeeds, my community, I succeed. And I think it's reframing that, because oftentimes when we live in the scarcity mindset, especially in the nonprofit industry, if Bonnie gets that grant, does that mean I'm not gonna get that grant? Which is ridiculous. And reframing from that abundance mindset and how we can narrow the gap with our community. I think that the last 5 years have really created a sparked innovation, right? And I hope the nonprofit community and the business community don't lose that appetite for innovation and for poking holes in what we're doing and not just what I call parroting the past. And it's very easy to get stuck in that rhythm and cycle because it worked then. Is it working today? Is it working effectively? How can we do it differently? And so for me, I hope that appetite continues to thrive in the nonprofit and business space. I hope that we can narrow the gap, and I hope that you see the value of when your community succeeds, you succeed.
I love that. Thank you so much. We are going to open it up for questions while I wait for you all to think about your amazing, innovative, thought-provoking, dialogue-inducing questions. I would like to ask just one more thing that came up when we were doing our prep call, and I think it was you, Jennifer, who said this idea of moving from a spirit of charity to a spirit of generosity. So while everyone does their homework, okay, yes, all preparing your questions, I'd love to expand on that.
I think one thing that we're noting in the change in generational engagement around philanthropic giving is that before, oftentimes, we had civics class, we had some things built in to our community, whether it was in the faith community, you were going to temple or you were going to church, and you were part of a faith community that was committing to go and do acts of service. When we shifted a little bit, I think somehow we forgot the whole parable of the widow's mite, right? So there is a story about a woman who brings to the temple it's all she had. She had one small mite to add to the offering. And that act of giving and that act of generosity, which generosity is different than charity, that act of generosity had far more impact in inspiration and in transformation than the gift of someone who had so much and gave a very small portion of it, which, by the way, we are profoundly grateful for those leaders in our community, so I am not. But we need to return to a spirit of generosity, where, as Bonnie said, we are all coming with what we uniquely have, and we are not devaluing it. Because we can change the world when we each bring what we have, like the Stone Soup book. That's my favorite analogy for the social impact sector. If you remember that children's book, there was a whole community that needed to eat, and they didn't have enough food. One person had a potato, one person had a carrot, somebody had a small piece of meat. Everybody stuck it in the pot, and there was a stone in there, and that's how it started, and everyone ended up eating that day because everyone collectively brought what they had. That spirit of generosity will not only transform our hearts, but it will transform our community, because we will realize that everyone is our neighbor. Everyone is our kid. Everyone is our parent, our grandparent, and we are responsible one for the other. And that generosity doesn't need to be measured in a dollar amount. That will come, but if we measure it in the sacrifice, I think that will be more profound.
And I know that this county is generous. That is one thing I know about Orange County. I lived it through the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't know how many people are aware, but when we went on shutdown mode, this county, the individuals, the corporations, the houses of worship supported both food banks. I got notes from people. I had $600 stimulus checks sent to me, signed over to the food bank saying, somebody else needs this more than I do. If not for the generosity of this county, I don't know that both food banks would have been able to make it through the pandemic. So I know that in this county, one of the wealthiest counties, in one of the wealthiest states, in the richest nation in the history of the world, if we can solve problems here, or I should say, if we can't solve problems here, I don't have a lot of hope for the rest of the country. And Sherry Battle once armed me with a wonderful way to describe Orange County, which I tell my friends in LA, because I worked in LA for 15 years. They don't get it, but if you live here, you get it. The sun just shines differently here. And if you live here, you know. And we can do it. We can solve for problems.
And on that note, I know we have a question over there. Yes. Do we have a microphone?
Good afternoon. Thank you guys so much. I'm fangirling this all-star panel so hard over here. My name is Antoinette Nador. I'm the Executive Director Emirata and founder of Veterans Legal Institute. This is our newly transitioning in Executive Director, Robin Taylor.
Welcome.
She will soon be joining you guys. And I'm very excited about everything you said. And I agree so much, particularly with foreseeing the future for nonprofits and what's going to happen to us. And I think that the silver lining is going to be there are going to be mergers. There will be more collaboration, and I think there'll be less duplication of resources, which will ultimately benefit the communities that we serve. So what I wanted to ask you all is, for those of us in the room, particularly the executive directors, is there some sort of online forum that everybody should be on, where when I need somebody, where it's like, hey, we're serving veterans and our veterans need food, how can I shoot out my bat signal and say, who wants to partner on something like this? Or I have a funder, and funders tend to want to work with people that are collaborating. So who would be interested in working on this grant for me?
There's a few Orange County Veteran Collective collaboratives that exist. Antoinette, I'm happy to connect your team with the ones that Working Wardrobes participates with. I think that what you said, though, is actually the answer, is shooting out the bat signal to the people you know. Are y'all in a group? Can I come?
And at 10C, we have the Nonprofit Advisory Council, which is a really good space to share that. But to Bonnie's point, call one of us. Yeah. We'll get you there. Like, we all need to be supporting each other. Call Julie. She'll get you there. Yeah. Man, Julie knows everybody. I mean, it's just about that. In Orange County, you know the book 6 Degrees of Separation? It's 2. In Orange County. So we'll find it. But to all of you in this room, whether you're new to the space or you're transitioning from a different industry, just call somebody. And I kind of akin it to your origin story, right? You met with somebody and you said, who should I meet with? And then that led to this person and this person and this person, and really building that foundational relationship.
I would like to change my answer and re-ask the question. The question you should ask are, who are the good collaborative groups I should join?
How about a round of applause for the nonprofit leaders that are not sitting here, that are sitting out there? I see you. I see all of you.
And I'll just share, so from Orange County Grantmakers, we have, our members are funders and philanthropists, and we work hard within our community to make sure that they are talking to one another about collaborative opportunities, because there is a scarcity of resources on our side as well, unfortunately. But together, we're finding ways where we can maximize those dollars so that we can invest and align in better, more strategic ways. So there is not one, there is many, and we're all happy to respond and support.
And I was just going to add one more. I'm not sure, is Ann Olin in here? Because she'll hit me maybe if I say the wrong thing. Okay.
CV in the house.
So there is an initiative that the Samueli Foundation has done some incredible work around landscaping the social impact sector, what our needs are, and there's a navigating uncertainty that someone maybe by me definitely got me to do it. And I'm grateful I'm doing it, but look at that and see if that might be an opportunity to plug in, because it's going to be a collaborative. I think that out of that is going to come a lot of other collaboratives. So be on the lookout. But yeah, seriously, I know that most of the people probably have most of our cell phone numbers. Just call us and we'll tell you exactly and bring you in.
Okay, Brenda Springer from Reveille. I have the wonderful pleasure of having many of you as my client and also friends. You guys are wonderful and always an inspiration. So some inside baseball I'm going to ask you is surrounding the Samueli Foundation Nonprofit Needs Assessment Report that was recently launched. So Jennifer, I thought you were going to steal my question, so I'm glad you didn't. I know it was a first of its kind study. It asked nonprofits where the biggest needs were, and it came out with some really good findings that many of you in the room expressed such appreciation for, because it was such an important tool for your boards and for future funding. Can you briefly talk about what was some of the most impactful things that came from that study for you now that you've had a couple months to marinate on it, and if there are any key learnings that this room of potential funders should know? Specifically, I'm wondering around the funding question and trust, because we know Lindsay Spindle from the Samueli Foundation often says trust is progress. Is that something in the climate that we're engaged in right now with this current administration that we really need people to understand how powerful that is for you?
We do that all the time. I'll address, thank you for bringing that up, by the way, because that work by the Samueli Foundation, and if you're not familiar with it, please look it up. They did a seminal, comprehensive deep dive into the needs of nonprofits in this county and came up with some key learnings that I shared with my board of directors. I think the two that impacted me, and not directly answering your question, was around nonprofit staffing. The fact that we are understaffed and that our staff benefits and pay were not competitive with the market sector. We took those learnings and we addressed them at the food bank, because the reality is, for employees, we compete with all of you. And as important as our missions are, not that we want to be competitive with you, but for employees, we have to be, because we need the best minds on these problems. These are some of society's toughest problems, and if we don't attract and keep the best and the brightest, we won't make any progress. So our key learnings at the food bank were around staffing and compensation and retention.
And infrastructure investment, so Maddie spoke to this. This is a very key and catalytic way that I believe corporate granting can be highly effective and highly efficient. And that's in investing in strong infrastructure development, which lends the ability for nonprofits to build financial sustainability. Because weak infrastructure means weak operational systems, which equates to poor planning and all reaction mode oftentimes. And lots of times individual donors will come because they have a heart for a particular cause. And so their language may be, I want 100% of my gift to go exclusively to programming. And programming is really everything because it's a business that we're running, but we bifurcate those dollars, right? So we're pulling out our IT support, we're pulling out fixing the poor electrical in our office that maybe electrocuted me a couple weeks ago. I fixed the flood and I fixed the electrical. But when we have corporate grants that are specifically allowing us to invest in infrastructure, then my finance person, she's now running the most amazing future-proofing, future forecasting financial reports that are allowing for me and Shelby to make all types of decisions around program investment that we never would have been able to make if that specific type of an investment wasn't made. And also leadership development. We're tasked with solving the world's most complex issues, which means we better have the smartest, best trained minds on that work. And that means that they need to be continuing their education. They need to be going to grad school. They need to be going to different types of training things throughout the year, and that costs money, and that money doesn't come in a program budget. So those are really powerful ways that were addressed in our focus group at the Samueli process and in the report.
I thought that it was like therapy. That report was like, oh, I feel so seen. I feel so understood. Like, thank you for listening. It also really brought for me this kind of the obvious, right? Which is the system is broken. It's really inefficient. The way that we go about requesting support and proving that we used it well and doing all the work in between for maybe $5,000. And we've spent the $5,000 asking you for it, telling you what we did with it, and tracking the data. If we could just do that maybe like once every 3 years instead of every year. Like, I'm telling you this and you're laughing, right? And it's ridiculous. That's what makes it funny. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we keep doing it. So maybe one of us will decide that the system's different this year. And maybe we'll decide that we can trust the people that we've funded for $5,000 a year for the last 20 years. And we can go to every 5 years. We trust you. I think that would be an incredible way to step up and advocate for system change. And you're absolutely right, Jennifer, like infrastructure too. That's a big one. But I also want to make sure that you don't think that you're not able, like you don't have enough power or authority, or you're not the influencer for that. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Every single one of us has the power to create what we are seeking in the world. And so I want to invite you to think about, am I best suited to catalyze people to volunteer? Maybe that's the system change that I can help create that takes an expense off of a for-purpose entity. You could maybe choose that, as a team this year, instead of all 50 of us giving individually to different organizations, we're going to pool our funds and we're going to decide together, and that's going to sponsor one person's housing for 3 months. It's going to sponsor whatever the thing is. Just own your power. And that report said, for me, that we all have the power to create the next future.
And I don't want to be duplicative, but I do want to share a fun story. So I have been saying for the last 5 years, when it comes to employee retention, first of all, anybody from Capital Group in here? Okay, good. No, and all jokes aside, I always say, I know we can't compete with Capital Group wages, right? And I have board members and committee members and great friends from Capital Group. And then 5 months ago, Capital Group recruited one of my team members. And I was like, it was a joke. Why, you weren't supposed to actually do it. But that is I just want to underscore Claudia's point. I mean, when you think about the fact that as an organization, Families Forward, when we do a peer-to-peer study, we are on the 75th to 100th percentile of pay scale, from case manager to case manager, family navigator. And that still would not be enough to support a family of 4 in Orange County. We all have to do better in that.
Point of trivia, I used to work for Capital Group, if it makes you feel any better.
Look at her now.
I think we have time for one last question.
Hi, Jessica Starr with Working Wardrobes. My question is much lighter. The other day, somebody asked me, what do you know now that you wished you knew a few months ago? So you're all very charismatic women. You're very impressive women. If you could give advice to somebody far younger than me, I don't know what generation is below me, but whatever that is, let's say 20s, that looks at you all and thinks you're so successful, you have your together, I would love to be that person. Before jumping into the nonprofit industry, what kind of advice or caution would you give somebody?
I have a thought. So we're all CEOs. We command large organizations, large budgets in many cases. We wield some influence in this county. In short, it could be said that we have power, right? And my advice to often young women or people that aspire to these jobs is to really look how you approach this concept of power, the power that you have, the power that you're striving to have. Because I think to a person on this panel, we don't look at power as the power over any of these things, but we look at it as the power to accomplish something. And I think that's a very distinct difference, maybe generationally or historically, but I know that every single one of these women looks at their job, their responsibility, their life's work as the power to accomplish something versus the power of simply reaching these seats, which we will soon vacate, or at least I will. That's my 2 cents.
I regret asking you that question, Jessica. No, it's a good question. I would advise the next generation to be very, very clear about their why. To understand, to know oneself well enough to know what drives you in the world. My why is very different than yours, and yours should be different than yours, etc. If you know deep down who you are and why, like literally, why am I here? Why? What is my purpose on this planet in this lifetime? That kind of why. If I know that, or if I have an inkling of that, then it will drive me. And I think when you're thinking about what sector, what occupation, what role in life, that it's about the hows are plentiful. There are so many places and ways and people to do the why with. But get clear, get real clear about who you are and why. Why are you here?
And building and adding on that, this last, I'm going on 13 years at Project Hope Alliance, coming out of my partnership. I never in a million years would have thought I would be here. The greatest life lesson that I have learned, it took me a really long time. I remember I was 51 when I finally got it, was that I was successful not despite what I had gone through, because I had experienced homelessness in Orange County with my family of 6 growing up all the way through high school, but because of it. There was something about me and the things that I had gone through that had equipped me to be able to think out of the box, to reverse engineer things, to have empathy for people in different places and stages that I wouldn't have had but for the things that I went through. And so that completely shifted this whole idea of the imposter syndrome, which is a narrative that I really wish we would stop perpetuating. I feel women, and I think my generation in particularly, like just started waving this imposter syndrome flag and conversation, and I think that we have crippled younger women with a belief that they too should feel like imposters. I would reframe it to owning who we are. And so I think that if everyone starting at age 20 going through their 40s reminded themselves that they're where they are because of who they are and what they've been through, not despite it, they're going to show up better and bolder and braver every day.
So, Jessica, did you know that the littlest ones are Generation Alpha? We cannot tell them that they are Generation Alpha. But in speaking to that generation or the incoming workforce generation, I would echo everything these wonderful ladies said. And the only thing I would add is that we need you. Nonprofit, for purpose, that is a career path that is more than just rewarding, but the stakes are real and we need you. So bring that AI background, bring that, digital engineering, computer-based, critical thinking skill, everything to the table, because that is how we're going to evolve as an organization and as a system and as a community. So in addition to that, we need you. So always call me, Sherry, give me your number. And we'll make sure to tell them the truth. I think there is a lot of demystifying when it comes to working in the for-purpose space. And I think it's an opportunity to really create that next level of leadership, but really change the mindset that for-purpose entities are a career path. They're not my sunset career. They are a career path.
And on that fantastic note, thank you to these amazing women who are on the panel with me. Their leadership is an inspiration to me, and I am just so lucky to be friends with them. So thank you, and thank you all for coming. It is such a privilege and a pleasure to be able to talk about the nonprofit for-purpose industry in this community space. And the fact that you all showed up really just reminds us that what we do is valuable and important. So thank you, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Taryn. I'm not sure if the sun shines differently here, but it certainly shines brighter with these wonderful leaders who are guiding our county and tackling some significant problems. So one more round of applause for our fantastic panel. And before I wrap up, I'd like to extend our sincere thanks to the Pacific Club for their outstanding hospitality. A special thank you to Jeannie Reinhardt at Smith Public Affairs for her generous support in allowing us to host events here. And of course, thank you to Communications Lab for their hard work and dedication in organizing today's event. Thank you, most importantly, for joining us today. Before you go, please take a few seconds to scan that QR code on the table and provide your feedback about today's events. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, and stay tuned for our next exciting program in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month on September 24th. The program will feature the founder and president of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, Gary Acosta. And finally, a very important note on parking before you leave. Parking here at the beautiful Pacific Club is complimentary. That gets to that infrastructure thing. Yes, you can share that. It's really great. It's so rare these days. But please be sure to leave on the left side, the natural egress of valeted cars of the property, so you are not charged to exit. To the left, when you get out of the parking lot. To the left, right? We look forward to seeing you all again. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.